Constructing a team is never easy, but fortunately, you can always find quick fixes. And for the New York Mets, that is through the 2021 trade deadline. Mets general manager Zach Scott and Sandy Alderson will have their work cut out for them, but the good news is the New York Mets are in first place. The only thing is, this team could use some more firepower if they want to make a World Series run. So without further ado, here are the top 5 trade targets for the New York Mets at the 2021 MLB trade deadline. Number 5, Andrelton Simmons. Now this comes after the injury to Francisco Lindor. With Lindor likely to be out for 6 to 8 weeks, the Mets need to upgrade the shortstop position. And while Simmons will not upgrade the lineup with his bat, he is a 4-time Gold Glover who certainly will help replace Lindor's defense. Simmons has a favorable contract, even though it's $10.5 million. It does expire at the end of the year and would likely be able to get for a pretty good rate. I don't think the Mets are going to have to give up big prospects in order to get Simmons, and really, Simmons could be a great defensive replacement in the postseason. We've seen it in the outfield with Dominic Smith, where the Mets will likely put Kevin Pillar late in games when the Mets have a lead. So having Simmons on the roster could give the Mets a better defensive option if the team has a lead. Look, the Mets need a shortstop right now. Luis Guillorme is a very nice backup player, but for a long haul of almost 2 months, the Mets are likely not going to get a big bat, and while the shortstop market will be a hot topic at the deadline with some of the huge names, Simmons is an underrated player who could come in and improve the Mets' defense dramatically, allowing Francisco Lindor to get fully healthy before he is forced back into action. Number 4, Adam Frazier, the second baseman from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, Frazier has been tied to the Mets as far back as a couple weeks ago, and he's having a great season, hitting over 300 and has a great bat. Now, Frazier is interesting because he could play third base even though he hasn't played there in a while, but if he is brought in, it could mean a move of Jeff McNeil to third base. Now, he's a very good defender, but more importantly, another nice bat in the lineup that will help for a postseason run. And given that Francisco Lindor's offense will be missed over the next 2 months, finding another bat in the infield could be a nice piece. And also, he has contractual control next season. He's playing at an all-star level, and the Mets could get him for relatively a good price. I don't see him having to give up one of their top 10 prospects, maybe some decent pitching depth, but overall, shouldn't come too costly with the Pirates having the worst record in baseball and the Mets getting the opportunity to get a good second baseman who not only can help them this year, but is under contract to help them next year as well. Number 3, Kyle Gibson. Now, I know you're going to stop me and say, wait, they've just traded for Adam Hill, and they're also bringing in Cookie Carrasco by the end of the month. But here's the thing. If the Mets really are worried about the health of Jacob deGrom internally, and they feel that he has a good chance to miss the postseason, or there's a chance that he might not be able to make starts in the postseason, if there's any worry at all, the Mets need to address it. Look, I like their rotation a lot. It's been very good. But we've seen the Dodgers and a lot of other great teams with super deep rotations to get to the World Series. And for the New York Mets, if there's any question about deGrom and you want to add a front-tier starter, Gibson could be that guy on a Texas Rangers team that's well out of it. But he's also pitching at a AL Cy Young Award level and will likely be one of the top candidates to win the AL Cy Young. Now, granted, this is his best season ever at the age of 33, but if the Mets really want a frontline starter for the postseason and have any worries about guys like Marcus Stroman or Taijuan Walker pitching in these big games in October, this could be a sneaky move to get a great frontline starter, especially if the Mets, once again, have any long-term concerns about Jacob deGrom's health. Number 2, Craig Kimbrel, the closer for the Chicago Cubs. Now, we've all seen it as Met fans over the last 2 weeks that Edwin Diaz has looked more like the Edwin Diaz of old, which is a terrifying prospect. Now, we haven't seen Edwin Diaz in the pressures of the postseason, so getting a guy like Kimbrel would be huge. Kimbrel has rebounded this year and has an ERA under 1, but the real reason why the Mets should target him is because he's proven to be able to get the job done in the postseason. This is a team that has some good relievers, and they've pitched great this year. But really, a lot of these guys don't have postseason experience. And even if Diaz does find his form, having Kimbrel as an 8th inning guy or a guy that you know can get you out of tricky spots would be huge, especially if you're worried about this rotation in the postseason. We've seen in the past with the Yankees who go in with a sub-average rotation, but are able to make up for it with an elite bullpen. And the Mets have a very good bullpen this year. Kimbrel could be the missing link, but also gives them a great backup plan in case Edwin Diaz continues to struggle, and also could be included for, and number one, Kris Bryant. Now, this shouldn't come as a surprise for Mets fans because it's been rumored that Kris Bryant has been a main target for the Mets for a long time. Once again, going back to this offseason where Sandy Alderson tried to swing a trade. With the Cubs likely out, this seems like the blockbuster deal for the Mets. If they could somehow swing Kimbrel and Bryant without giving up some of their top prospects, like their top three, like Francisco Alvarez, I would look to really make this trade because not only improves the bullpen, but more importantly, Kris Bryant is an elite player who has gotten it done. And really, third base has been a black hole for the New York Mets since David Wright's retirement. Look, Kris Bryant is playing at an all-star level, and I understand he is a rental at the age of 29. But if there's a chance that the Mets could re-sign him, especially now with Steve Cohen running the team and having more money involved, the Mets could realistically, over the next 5 years, have a potential left side of the infield that features Kris Bryant and Francisco Lindor. That would be something truly special. Bryant is a great hitter, a great clubhouse guy, and would elevate this lineup and give them another great right-handed bat, while more importantly giving them some great defense at third base, and really help straighten the bench. Putting guys like J.D. Davis on the bench and coming in out later in games would help elevate this Mets roster and really give them some incredible depth in the run to October. So the big blockbuster move for the Mets that could finally put them over the top could be a call to the Windy City to bring in Kris Bryant. And that's our list. Did you agree with our picks? Make sure to like and comment below to give us your feedback and what you would like us to talk about next. But until next time, this is Rich Sports Talk.